do for our... So, the finish is ahead of us. We are meeting in 2 weeks' time, and that will be it for Everyday Supernatural. This time, this is round one. There's nothing to say. Maybe in a few years' time we don't repeat it. For others, thank you for the positive feedback, overwhelmingly positive. I'll take it. Cheers. So, in 2 weeks' time, we're talking about how we continue all that's gone on and all that we've learned about and all we've been practicing and having a go. Who's prayed with someone this week or in the past 2 weeks? Who's prayed with? So a few have prayed with. I know there's someone who's prayed with my wife today, and they shared with my wife that it's not something they usually do. And my wife was unbelievably blessed. I've already told them, but I won't say who their name is because I haven't got permission, but they were unbelievably blessed by people going and praying with her. So thank you. So what next? We always said that these Wednesday nights, it's not going to be an all the time thing, but it seemed a few weeks into doing Everyday Supernatural that actually it'd be good to do something else after the summer. So Wednesday the 7th of September, every Wednesday night from the 7th of September to the 30th of November, we're going to be doing Alpha. Now, historically in the town, Alpha has been done as churches together. The decision by churches together has been not to do that this time. So we've gone, okay, that's not been done by churches together. A church together happy for us to do that, and they've gone, yeah, you host and you sort of will run it, but it's open to churches together. So it is a Dronfield Baptist, but it's a churches together thing at Dronfield Baptist, much like Embrace Youth Service. So 7th of September, you all need to be here with at least one other person who doesn't yet know Jesus, or is on that journey, or is a brand new Christian. So we've got flyers. The flyers arrived today. Sadly, Ed and Ali are laughing. Sadly, the printers did it so quick for us, they forgot to print the back. And they just printed the front on the front and the front on the back. So it's gone back. Have they refunded it? Are we getting it all for free?
Yeah, we're getting it all for free. That's the good news.
Brilliant. So if the 40 quid, can it please go into youth budget, Dave? Thank you. So we're going to be doing Alpha. So there will be flyers. We're praying it's here by Sunday. We'll see. Because my service on Sunday is all about evangelism. So a lot of that is get out and do it. Then what? At leadership on Monday, someone said, oh, maybe we could do this. And it was a case of going, yeah, maybe we could. But we haven't got plans for after Christmas. We may take a break. Or it might become more clear to us as church that God's saying, actually, a series looking at this or that. So if you feel God's saying, oh, that might be something, speak to Andy, speak to me, let us know. So, but we're not going to make a decision about that until September, October, November. So there's plenty of time. So this isn't the last one. There is one more. Who here has come across Safe Families? Anyone? Interesting. Yeah, Chris knows what's coming. Safe Families. So I'm telling you this isn't really to do with... So, oh, by the way, we're doing Growing in Faith. That's the theme there for tonight. And a lot of what Growing in Faith is, for me, my faith grows when it's like, oh yeah, you are real God, of course you are. And he does crazy, amazing things. Well, God's done some crazy, amazing things this week. And one of them has been Safe Families. Safe Families, I will bore you a little bit, but I don't care. You're going to get bored by this in the next few months. Safe Families are a Christian organisation who support families in need. So they generally, they're employed by local authorities. So they are all over the country. And there might be a family who are been highlighted by social services, and they've got a social worker and some social work support, but it's not going in the direction they want it to go. They're in that in-between place where they've been identified and things are a little bit tough and difficult. And Safe Families get involved and basically surround them and love them and say, look, okay, if it's a dad who's struggling, a few blokes will go and hang out with him and look after him. But the idea is we bring them into church and go, do you know what? You can become part of church and you can belong here. You can be with us. Or it might be a mum who's struggling with their children, and we can go in and people can go into the home and help, support, care, love, bring your kids to church. You come to church, we want to love you and look after you. Come and join our toddler group. We'll let you in. We won't send you away, like we did on Monday with the Ukrainian family who turned up, and that kind of thing. Come in, we want to look after you. Another thing they do is, if, for example, there's a mum and she's got 2 children and she's got to go into hospital for an operation, she's got no support at all, her children will be put in care. That's how it works. The problem is, once you're in the care system, once they're shoved into a children's home or with short-term care, assessments have to be done. The average time to do the assessment is 2 weeks. So a mum might go into hospital for a day, but her children are now away from her for 2 weeks. And Safe Families step in and go, do you know what? We can support, we can have those kids. We've got a church associated with us, and they've got people who are all fully checked and trained and everything else, and we'll have your kids for you. So Safe Families are a big company, a charity. They don't cost a penny to be part of. I'd never heard of them. And I got an email 3 weeks ago from a guy called Richard Dawson. And it was like, this is who we are. We're trying to find churches in Derbyshire, specifically North East Derbyshire, and actually more specific, Dronfield, because we're going to be working with all the schools and social services in Dronfield. We've got the contract for a few years. We're also trying to get involved with churches in South Sheffield. Would you be up for a conversation? That's me. I'm always up for a chat. Emailed straight back, yes please mate. Things happened, Bex was unwell, stuff went on. I couldn't see him until last Thursday. He came in, we had a blind in 2 hours. We talked about Safe Families. I was like, mate, this is exactly what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about a life project there. I was like, this would work so much better at Life. But he's like, no, we work through churches. And it's like, well, Life, it's not a church, but it's working with churches. We could do it as a bigger town. He was like, well, yeah, but you can't, can you? I was like, no, but it might be something the DBC are up for doing. And he goes, right, so what we need is we need like a few volunteers, and then we eventually get a Safe Families champion for your church. And they sort of oversee it for Safe Families and with your church. And I was like, brilliant. There's a problem. He was like, what's that? I was like, capacity. I said, I just don't have the time. I'm up to here with everything. And there might be someone in church, but I'm not sure. And actually, we're full on with stuff here. And he was like, well, okay. He goes, you know John and Heather? I was like, yeah, John and Heather. I said, they've left our church. They were here. Yeah, they used to be our Safe Families champion for Derbyshire. I was like, all right, okay, so there's a bit of a link. Anyhow, I was like, okay, well, he was like, can I come and do a Sunday morning service? No, that's not going to rock, mate. We've got Sunday morning sorted for months. I said, but you can come on a Wednesday night in July, 13th of July, get it in your diaries. He's going to come to tell us as church about Safe Families, this organisation that none of us have heard of. So that was Thursday. On Sunday, if you noticed, I sat just up there. Manuel and Grace were in church. Manuel and Grace have been flitting. They're not flitting, they're trying to figure out where God wants them. They moved from Newcastle down to Sheffield, living with Grace's mum and dad for 8 months. They've been going to Fulwood with them, but they've just moved to Dronfield. A few months ago, they got Noah. I don't know how old he is. He's about that big and he's sort of toddling, whatever that age is. That'll do, 10 months. Is that what he is? You know. All right, cool. Great. So he's 10 months, is Noah. Manuel's a Lazio fan, but all right, Gaza played that, it's all right. Anyhow, Manuel has connected to us through football. He put on Facebook District Forum he wanted to play football. I contacted him and said, come and play church football. You're Christians. I'm a Christian. Huh. So anyhow, they're working out, do they do Dronny Baptist or Fulwood? So Grace asked me the question on Sunday, Andy, what can I do at Dronfield Baptist? I was like, well, there's loads you can do. We've got a whole wall there of families, youth and kids stuff with my families, youth and kids hat. There's loads of stuff you can do. You can get involved with that. We'll do DBS and all of that. Or as a new family into the church, if there's something that you are coming in going, Dronfield Baptist, you're not doing that. Or you could do that better. Or well, I've got an idea, share it. And she was like, oh, you're up for new things? It was like, yeah, too, right? We want to love our community and share God and become more like Jesus. So if you're bringing new stuff in, great. Okay, I'll think about that. Okay, cool. Come over on Sunday for dinner. And they're like, yeah, we'll come over next Sunday. Okay. And then as we were going, she goes, oh, because when I was in Newcastle, I was linked with a project in Newcastle. And I ended up working for the charity. Don't know if you've heard of them. They're called Safe Families. So we're talking about growing in faith. And it's that, is God real? That I know he's real. My faith is sorted. Like, it's in him, it's sorted. But it's them moments that you just go, why am I and I was there, I was like, and God's amazing. And it was like, why am I surprised at this? This is how he is. Have we not been learning about this? This is what he does. So I'll be coming to the church family on next Wednesday for the church meeting. It is next Wednesday, isn't it? Next Wednesday to the church meeting, saying, should we look to get involved with this, say, families? This fella's going to come and talk to us about it. We can still get out and go, no, but what are the chances of that happening? I don't know why I'm amazed. I don't know why I am amazed. And Jesus, I don't know why he was ever amazed, because he was God. He made it all. He made the stars, he made the sand, he made it all. Like, he is in control. He's in control of some random geezer phoning some muppet at Johnny Baptist, having a chat, and then 3 days later a lady turns up going, oh yeah, I can do that. I've done it before, used to work for them. I know Richard, I know this, I know that. This is what we need to do. If God's that intricate in my life, why would Jesus ever be amazed? But if we look in our Bibles, only 2 occasions is Jesus amazed. And the first occasion he's amazed is Matthew 6:4-6. Jesus said to them, a prophet is not without honour except in his own town, among his relatives and in his own town. He could not do any miracles there except lay his hands on a few sick people and heal them. He was amazed at their lack of faith. Jesus went to Nazareth and was amazed at their lack of faith. And then we hear about the Roman centurion who's got a sick servant, and he sent the Jewish guys off to find Jesus to say, you've got to heal my sick servant in Luke 7. When Jesus heard this, he was amazed at him, the Roman centurion. And turning to the crowd following him, he said, I tell you, I have not found such great faith even in Israel. Then the men who had been sent returned to the house and found the servant well. Jesus was amazed twice. First, at the lack of faith from his hometown, and secondly, at the amount of faith that this Roman centurion had. A Roman, not a Jew. The Jews. So that's the 2 times Jesus was amazed, and it's all around faith. And you read the book, it's all about how we need to have faith and trust in God. What is faith made of? Faith is made from love, our love of God, and our trusting in him. Maybe the arrows should go the other way. But it's loving him and trusting that he's got it sorted in everything. And through that, our faith grows. 4 times in the Bible, Jesus has a whinge and moan about little faith. Matthew 6:30, Matthew 8:26, Matthew 14:31, Matthew 16:8. I'll let you read them. And it's him admonishing the disciples and going, you have little faith. Come on, guys, what are you playing at? And actually, for me, I quite like the fact that there's at least 4 times there. I mean, that's just in Matthew, that he has a whinge at these 12 guys going, you haven't got faith. Because these are the geezers that were seeing him feed 5,000, raise the dead, heal the lepers, give people sight. They're seeing all this day to day with the geezer, and they still haven't got, they're still going, oh, not too sure, Jesus. Sorry, Sandra, I'm totally in your way, love. Read it through my head. Have you read it? Yeah. Sweet. It all goes a bit belly up here, so we'll wing it, we'll go with it. Then we read in Mark 5:30-34, there is a lady who's a leper, and Jesus is in a crowd, and he's walking along, and he suddenly goes, where's that? I've just felt the power. I'll read it. Who touched my clothes? That once she's realised that power had gone out from him, he turned around in the crowd and asked, who's touched my clothes? You see the people crowding against you, his disciples answered. And yet you asked who's touched you? Like, come off it, Jesus. Like, everyone's touching you. It's like flipping being on the tube at rush hour. But Jesus kept looking around to see who had done it. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet. And trembling with fear, told him the whole truth. He said to her, daughter, I love the fact he uses daughter. It's not woman, it's not lady, it's daughter. I love you, my daughter. Your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering. But I think she'd already been freed, because if you read a bit further up, then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, so she's touched him. She had that much faith. If I touch him, I'll be healed. And my take on that is that she was healed. And then she throws herself at his feet, knowing that he's healed her. Just that faith that he can do it. And I know when I pray for healing with people, sometimes I just do, all right, I'm just praying for you. Don't think it's going to happen. I shouldn't admit that, should I? But maybe I need to work on my faith of going, actually, no, God, I'm expecting this to happen. I usually do. If I prayed for you for healing, I'm aware there are people here who I have. I prayed genuinely. I need to make that clear. But it's then the shock when someone's healed. And it's like, oh, you've been healed. What a surprise. What? Oh, you muppet. I'm aware tonight there's lots of verses and bits. So I thought, how am I going to pad it out a little bit? So I'm going to tell you a little story about blind faith, and that's a poster I used to have. Bomb hills, not countries. BC, before children. In fact, no, I think that probably was about. But I used to skate, and not just skateboarding around bowls. I used to bomb hills. That's what we did. We would go as quick as we possibly could down the steepest hill and hopefully not die. And we used to do it in the peaks all the time. We used to also slide. I used to skate for a team, for Lush Longboards, or a huge longboard company. And when we lived in the peaks, that's what I did. And I used to do it with my youth group. And it was brilliant. And I'm going to show you a 2-minute video. It's really old. I had to search for it. I think it's like 2007. I think there's about six or seven of us on there. I now work for a church. Steve, who's on there, leads a church in Coventry. And Ben, those of you who are Fulwood-esque will know the Tanners. Ben Tanner has now just moved to Totley All Saints. They've moved today, and he's taken over Totley All Saints. And he's in here skating. So we were like the Christian skaters, and it was hilarious. Police would roll up on us. Hi, gents, are you okay? Lads, what are you doing? We're just skating. Would you like us to move on? And the police were always taking the car. Would you like us to move on? Yeah, we can move on. We're just the local church youth group. And it was always, oh, you can stay then, lovely lads. But I'm going to bore you with 2 minutes of video. And there is a reason behind it, because blind faith will come into it in a minute. Anyhow, throw the video on, sit back and enjoy yourselves. I look very young, by the way, if you do spot me. So we would regularly be doing a youth group, and we'd just end up going out skating, and it was great. It was a great period. That summer was an immense summer. But 2 weekends after that, we had a skate competition down in Falmouth in Cornwall. So the guys came to Sheffield, picked him up from school, and we drove down to Falmouth, and we got there pretty late, and we met some guys in the pub, and there was a bit of a lock-in, and we got chatting, and it was the guys who were going to be skating. There was about 30 of us. A guy had come over from the States, a few Austrian, a couple of German guys had come over, so it was a decent meeting. And the geezer who was sorting out, a guy called Mark, he was known as Professor Mark, we were all staying at his place, and we were just going to stay. He was like, yeah, just crash, I've got floor space. It was like, all right. And we'd spoken online and what have you, and we got chatting, and then he was like, oh, what do you do? And I was teaching at that point, and Steve was like, yeah, I'm at uni, I'm going off to uni, and Ben Tanner was like, yeah, I'm thinking of training to be a vicar. And it changed. You what? You're a Christian. And he started to get sort of in Ben's face. And I was like, yeah, so am I. So's Steve. He's like, you three from Sheffield, you're all Christians. It was like Peak District. No, yes. Yeah, we are. I was like, what do you mean, my dad was a Methodist minister. Hate Christians, stuff you stand for. And it was like, all right, mate, what do you mean you hate Christians? Where's this? And he was like, there's no point discussing with you. I was like, what do you mean? There's no point discussing with you anything about the Bible or about God, because you lot have got blind faith. I was like, what do you mean by blind faith? He goes, well, you blindly carry on. You believe in this Christianity, and regardless of what anyone says, you won't be altered. You won't change your mind. Whereas if you're intellectual, you'll talk about it. And it wasn't me who said it, but Steve just turned to him and he said, mate, it's not got nothing to do with blind faith. It's nothing to do with believing what someone says at the front of a church. It's actually a real faith, knowing that he's real because of the things that he does and the things that we've seen him do. And that was it. The fellow was like, go on then, what have you seen God do? And Steve, I just sat back going, oh, you get on with it, lads. And it was, and actually, we had an amazing, I nearly broke my leg, but apart from that, we had an amazing time. But it was, this geezer had clearly used this line in the past with Christians. Your blind faith. And Steve just chopped him down with a complete sidewind of, it's not blind faith, mate, he does stuff. What do you mean he does stuff? Well, he heals people. Have you seen that? Let us tell you. He gives us word of the knowledge. Well, there are these things that are God's sequences. And it totally knocked the guy. So I don't know why I shoved that in. I was just trying to stretch out for a little bit. Anyhow, how do we build our faith? This one says you need to get a podcast. And you do a podcast, and that will build your faith. Well, that's wrong. By all means, listening to it might help build your faith. But how do we build our faith? I want to slip forward to a few slides, but that's not going to work because I've got them in the wrong order, I think, of what I want to now say. But building our faith is about us stepping out. I've said this already. It's about us stepping out and trusting in God. It's about that trust and that love. Mark 1:40-42, right at the end of the first chapter, a man with leprosy came to him and begged him on his knees, if you are willing, you can make me clean. Jesus was indignant. He reached out his hand and touched the man. I am willing, he said, be clean. Immediately the leprosy left him and he was cleansed. The original word for indignant, I can't pronounce it. I don't pretend to pronounce it, but them posh people, theologian people, translators, whatever you call them, the word indignant is not a brilliant word to use. It's about a complete and utter, and the way that I've read it says, about a complete and utter, like gut-wrenching sadness and like upset, just completely, ugh. And I went back and read it again, and it was like Jesus was like just gut-wrenchingly, and it was like, why was he like that? And it's like, well, the guy with leprosy goes, if you are willing. It's like, it's Jesus. If you are willing, do you not know this guy? Of course he's willing. He's desperate to see us healed. He's desperate to have us put right and be with him. Gut-wrenchingly, oh, you don't know me, mate. This is who I am. I love you. I don't want you to have leprosy. And it goes. So how do we build it up? Here's a photo of me a few years ago when I lost the weight. Okay, my body was not like that when I began. Okay, but I discovered going to the gym and lifting weights, my arms would ache. And it was like, what is Jonathan? Oh, Jill, if you want it, give me a photo of him and I can sort that out for you. Anyhow, his head, not his body, unless you want his body and my head. Name it up. Move on. I went to the gym and I would ache. In fact, my 100k walk, does everyone know? I did a 100k walk. Did I mention it before? But I ached. And that ache is where I've torn my muscles. That ache in your arms and your muscles is where you've made tiny little tears and your body replaces in between those tears with some more muscle. And that's how you build your muscle up. It takes time. I don't just go and out it comes. It's hard work, but we need to keep doing it. And as we do it, we bulk ourselves up more. And the actual bit I was going to say about that, I've totally forgotten, but there was a reason for putting that photo in. The more we go at it, that's it. The more we step out for God, talking of stepping out, there's stepping out. The more we step out for God, the more we go, I'm going to do it, the better we get at it. The more attuned we come to what he wants us to do. Mike in the book talks about us going, it's as if we're on a diving board and we say, God, and the pool is empty beneath us. And we say to God, fill the pool up with water and then I'll dive in. And God goes, no, dive in and then I'll fill it up with water before you hit it, obviously. Not you're drowned dead. No. But it's a case of taking that step and remembering to take that step. And when do we take that step? And I haven't put that in. So for me, recently, my step, and I'll come to this, we saw this last week. That's the prayer one, but I use the same sort of image for stepping out in faith. The riskier is the closer it gets to red. Now, we've got friends who aren't going to see this, so it doesn't matter. Our best friends do not yet know Jesus. And we have been praying for them for like 11, 12 years to know Jesus. And she was getting close to it, but then had a really bad experience with a Christian. And this person basically said to her the only way she would never get better, the only way she would get better was by being healed by Jesus. And that person was right. But that lady didn't want to hear it in the situation she heard it. And they've had nothing to do with God. Now that lady has been really, really ill for the past 2.5 months. Been in hospital. Different thing to Becca, but they're best friends. Can't leave the house, is in major pain, major upset, is now on the morphine. And Becca's texted her a few times going, are you okay if I let my friends know so we can pray for you? Not with her, but we can pray for you. And she's got nothing back. And Becca's mate always replies. And it's like, that's fine, love. That's you stepping out. That's you offering it. Now, her husband has been completely blocked for God. Nothing. Doesn't want to know anything. His mother passed away 4 weeks ago. He's got kids the same age as ours. He's got a wife who's in agony and crying out in pain during the night. His mother passes away. He buried her on Wednesday of last week. And I've caught up with him a few times. And for me, my stepping out was going, look, mate, you know I've been praying for you. Have you? Yeah, I have. And then it was, oh, sugar. He hasn't closed me down. Do I leave it? If there was a video and I showed it at Everyday Supernatural, what should I do? I'd say, can I pray for you? And I was papping myself. And he said, if you want. So I did a very quick one. I was brave. I'd tell you that I spent 15 minutes placing my hands on him, inviting the Holy Spirit in. No, I didn't. I blatantly just did. Lord, I just thank you for John. I just pray for him. And I know he's going through a rough time. I just pray, Lord, he knows your peace. And it was that. It was like done quickly. And I know that was probably for me. I was around here. I got towards there. It was a bit, ooh. But I've opened that door. And now the challenge for me is that when I see him on Saturday, I've got to offer to pray for him again or ask him how it's gone. And it is that stepping out. For me, on that day, saying to him, I've been praying for you, was stepping out. And then praying for him was very scary. It shouldn't be. He's my mate. It should be fine. But I'm rubbish at all of this. We all know the story. The 4 guys have got their mate. They need him healed. They get to the house. They can't get in. Too many people. What should we do? I'd love to have heard the conversation from one of the mates going, we'll just dig a hole through the ceiling. Like, really? What? Did his mates really go, oh yeah, great idea, let's do that? Like, had they been on the sherbet? I don't know. But they decided that they would dig the hole through the ceiling. And could you imagine being it? I'm sorry, if that was my house, I would not be happy. Little bit of dust. I want to see the geezer whose house it is. I've invited Jesus in, this special guest. Everyone's here. Yeah, my house. Isn't it lovely? I've seen you on sweet bidet. No, all of a sudden there's dust coming down and then there's a hole. And then these geezers have enough time to cut a hole in the roof. I'm sorry, the moment I saw something coming through the roof, I'll be out up that roof going, get off my flipping roof. Sorry, I'm going off on one. But these geezers lower this man down. And he's healed. Jesus heals him. And it says because he sees the faith. Where was the faith? What was the faith? Well, the faith was the hole. There's the faith. We trust that Jesus will heal this guy. We know that. We have that faith in him. Is it on their faces? Does Jesus look up and go, oh, yes, you have faith? No, Jesus looks up and goes, they trust me so much they're prepared to rip a geezer's roof off. There's the faith. Because we need to see faith in action. Not just my faith. It's not about my faith. It is a bit about my faith, but actually it's all about Jesus. Everything is about Jesus. It's not, how are you doing? Oh, I have a very strong faith in the Lord. My faith is grade 9. No, it's, I'm close to Jesus. As we said right at the start, leaning into Jesus, being with him, spending time with him, becoming more like him, wanting to do his things, praying, reading his words, stepping out for him, praying with people, telling people about him. And by telling people about him, that isn't the scariness. It is scary at times, but it's actually, for a lot of people, telling people about Jesus is as simple as going, oh yeah, I was in church on Sunday. Oh, you go to church? All right, there's the door. I've opened that door by making the point I've been to church. Or I open that door by making the point I'm a Christian. And then at that point, we allow them to walk in. Yeah, we want to step out more and more and more and be really honest and open about our faith. But just by being open with people about who we are, that we love Jesus, step in. This geezer who you know I've been supporting, he was in church on Saturday. He came to church on Saturday with his kids. And he sat at the back and he chatted to Dave Charles. And I've met with him today and he spent an hour and a half chatting about Dave. Isn't he a nice geezer? And that sound system, oh my days, it's amazing. He's a DJ, this guy. I've been telling my mates about your sound system. We can't believe they've got it in a church. It's a Heaton 795673 or something. I'm like, mate, I ain't got a clue. He's like, it's got this and this. It's amazing. My mates can't believe you got it in a church. I'm like, mate, if we get robbed, it's coming after you. Anyhow, but he came to church. Why did he come to church? Because I was like, yeah, look, mate, I'm a Christian. That was it. It wasn't, and that was it. And he's like, yeah, I know you're a Christian. I like that about you. Can I pray with you? You can pray with me, all right. Do you do anything at church that I could get involved with? Yeah, mate, Sunday mornings, but Saturday I do a dad's group with kids. Bring your twins. And he came with his twins. Telling people about Jesus. Living generously. Seeing the poor, seeing the sick, serving, loving, supporting families through safe families. Coming to life now. That's rubbish. Sorry, move on. Right, 2 Corinthians 12:9. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. We read that in session 4. It's his power in our weakness. It's still his power in our weakness. It will always be his power in our weakness. And just one last thing, and I watched a video on this, and when I sat down to write what I was writing today, I'm sorry, he probably sat there again, he planned this. The first word I put down with faith stuff was love, or first two words, love and perseverance. And we need to persevere. We need to keep going and keep trusting and not just do I'm going to step out in faith for this person, it didn't work, I'm not doing it again. We need to persevere. And I've said that to Bex. That's why she's now sent 2 texts to her mate, because she sent her one and didn't get a reply. And about 4 weeks later, she was like, she didn't reply. I think I'll text her again. Do that, love, yes. Text her again. I'll mention it to her tonight. She maybe needs to text her again. But we need to be persevering with these things. I think that's about it. I've got that verse, but I don't know why. That's about perseverance. Therefore, since we're surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that is so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus. We've learnt a lot, and I know for some of you here, what we've been doing at Everyday Supernatural is stuff that you've heard before. And you've heard it spoken about by people who speak 1,000 times better than me and do this stuff all the time. I am totally winging it with half of this Holy Spirit stuff. And I'm trying my best to do it, and I hope that comes across. I just want to really encourage you this week to step out in a new way than you normally would. If that is just offering to pray with someone. Tomorrow, when you're in there for coffee pot, lots of you will be there. Someone comes in, how are you? Can I pray for you? If you see our mate Andy Aram, offer to pray for him. He's got a lung condition. He's not great at the moment. I had the privilege of praying with him last week. Offer to pray with him. Be on the lookout for people to pray with. Or be on the lookout to tell people about Jesus, however that is. Why don't you come to church on Sunday? It's the all-age service. We'll see what he does with helium this week. Or why don't you come along to this Bible study? Or why don't you just come to church and come and have a coffee with us on Thursday at a coffee pot? Something that you wouldn't normally do, step out and encourage someone in. Paul, have you got any more worship? Brilliant. Paul's going to play quietly in the background. I'll change what I'm doing. We're just going to, like we did last week, and I had a number of people come back to me last week and were like, Andy, it was good just to sit and pray for each other. So we're just going to literally get into 4s, 3s or 4s, wherever you are, or 5s, and just turn around to the people and just pray for each other. Pray for each other. If there is something that you want prayer for and you want to share it in your group, please feel free to share it. But if there isn't anything, that's fine. We're just going to pray for each other and pray that God gives us the opportunities to share about him a bit more. Be that through prayer, be that through telling someone about Jesus, opening doors. So we're just going to do that. If anyone else, yeah. So we're going to do that. So just get into the groups. Go for it. Cheers.